Gentlemen, hello. How we doing?
How we doing?
Chris, we're live.
What's going on? Welcome to Breaking Tackles alongside with Manny. I am your host, Antonio. What's going on, everybody? We have a special guest today. We have my brother Chris Turner all the way from across the pond. Chris, what's going on, man? How you doing? How you feeling, brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for having me on the podcast, guys. Really appreciate it. Nice to give a UK perspective of, the Giants, the fan base over here, and obviously catching up with you two to obviously talk about, what's going on this season.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And just FYI, I'm gonna let Chris do this obviously at the end of the podcast. But obviously you can all follow Chris at Chris Giants Fan on Twitter. Chris, how I just ran into Chris. He came into and shout out to the Shakedown Cruise podcast, and they have their spaces on Twitter. Chris popped into one of their spaces and just started spitting knowledge, man. And it's great to see that somebody that's not even in this country is so knowledgeable about the sport. Wanted to bring him over here, and alongside with Manny, just go ahead and we'll talk about Giant stuff. Chris, just I know we spoke about this a little bit about in off air, but if you could tell whoever's watching now, how did you get into the Giants, man? How did that all started? Sorry.
Yeah. No. So obviously, coming from, I live in the northwest of England, North Wales, so I'm in Flintshire, North Wales. So I grew up in a place called Ellesmere Port, which is not far from like Manchester, Liverpool area. And my dad was a Washington Redskins fan down in the 80s, so he was watching the likes of John Riggins play and all that kind of stuff, and he used to have it on in the background, always an interest. I had a few people from school that were San Francisco 49ers fans, and San Diego, when the San Diego Chargers were at the time. So I kind of like got used to American football around our kind of culture and in our our neighborhood kind of thing. And then I moved over to Dublin, and in 2007 season, obviously the Giants made the Super Bowl. I was at a Super Bowl party playing poker, and everyone had the Patriots to win, and I was like, fuck this, I'm taking the Giants, man. I want the thing is about the UK, we like an underdog, we go for an underdog. It doesn't matter, that dog mentality is what we're all about.
Right.
And I was like, I'm going with the Giants. Like, screw everyone else. Ended up, the Giants obviously ended up winning, which was fantastic. So I ended up winning the bet from everyone else, and then winning at poker as well. So it took everyone's money. I think it's like about I ended up walking away with like €400. It's amazing. So yeah, and that was my introduction to the Giants. Eli Manning throwing that last minute, getting out of the pocket, getting scrambled, and then throwing that
jersey tuck, to Tyree.
Jersey tuck, Tyree, and that helmet catch. I'll never forget that at all. And my sister, shout out to SJT, is a Pats fan. So.
Oh man! So that was a shot to the heart right there, little sibling.
Twice.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It's like the rivalry is
by that point, by 2011, it was already a full blown rivalry because you told me you did your research. So after that 08 season, you did your research as to what team you wanted to root for, and you came down to the Giants.
Yeah, I came down to the Giants. I just liked the whole everything. I liked Coughlin, the way he had his time management sort of things going on. Obviously, Strahan was leaving because he won the Super Bowl. It was the next kind of Giants rollout of bringing in that next roster. But what I loved about the Giants was they played for the jersey, and it's a similar sort of thing that we have over here in the United Kingdom. When I'm a Manchester United supporter, is that
right.
when Manchester United played for Sir Alex Ferguson, you put that Manchester United jersey on, you are playing, you go out with that competitiveness. Same with the Giants. It's all about going out and, those guys were tough competitors. And even Brady said it, and I've got a lot of respect for Brady.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Those Giant teams were difficult to play against, and that's what I want to see this season.
Absolutely. Hopefully we got at least a similar D line. That's for sure. Manny, what's going on with you, brother? How are you? How's everything going, man?
Man, I can't complain. I know a lot of people don't like this part of the season because it's like very slow news. A lot of things are circulating. Everyone's just kind of waiting for training camp and all that to start. But I like it because it gives us time to just really, really break every single aspect of the team. The name says it, breaking tackles. We love breaking every aspect of it. So it's a lot of fun. It's awesome to have Chris on as well. Got a lot of questions for you, Chris. I want to know a few things going on over the pond. Appreciate you for coming on. Tony, how you feeling, man?
Doing
you
good.
You there? You in New York? Boots on the ground? How we doing?
Yeah, man. Happy. Yo, listen, and it's funny. I agree 100% what you're saying, man. This is the time where to take your foot a little bit off the pedal, because if you're constantly in the Giants, topic and stuff like that, it's like, dude, there's only so much you can even really talk about. We have something to talk about because these OTAs are just happening right now, but OTAs are gonna stop, and then you're gonna have it's gonna be not spring training. Spring training is baseball. Training camp is gonna happen, and it's gonna happen, but it's gonna happen in August. So we're still a little while away from that. So it is good. Hey, we have something to talk about now, but hey, man, I agree with you, man. It's like you gotta just enjoy the summer, enjoy other sports, if anything, and leave it at that, man. So that's very true.
And also, this is our first time breaking down the offseason in the last 4 years without a GM that we all hate. So, I feel like this always gets forgotten. We got arguably the best the best GM candidate available in the offseason until he became with the Giants, and everyone started pegging him down, obviously, because that's what they do to the New York market. I'm really just fired up just to start getting more into these shows and more talking about it because, like you said, man, this is the fun part, and this is what really gives us the best opportunity to really just squeeze the juice out of the Giants before the season starts, so we have all the information we need as it comes up.
And I have something to talk about with you two, because you guys at different times have talked about you want to see that fire from the Giants. And Manny, you pointed out to me, you showed us an interview about John Feliciano. So we'll touch about that a little bit at the end of the program. We'll close it out with that. Let's start off right off the bat, guys. I want to get your take on. We already know now where James Bradberry has gone. He is going, unfortunately, to my personal hated team. I hate them the most, which is the Eagles. Oh, okay. Manny, do you hate the Cowboys more or the Eagles more?
Yeah, it's the Cowboys for me because I live in Texas.
I got
you. The Eagles, I'm never passing Eagle for dinner.
The only reason why, ever since I've been following the Giants vividly, the Eagles have gotten us more than the Cowboys have. And we've beaten the Cowboys, even in the playoffs, to go into the Super Bowl and stuff like that. So that's why I'm not even that mad at the Cowboys. To me, I feel bad for them. But let's get back to the topic. James Bradberry is an Eagle. Are we concerned about that? What is the deal with that? Who wants to take that? Chris, I'll give it to you first. What do you think about James Bradberry being an Eagle, man?
I think it's I said it before, when we were talking the other day on the other channel with the Shakedown guys. Mm-hmm. Is that it's a great bit of business by Howie. Can't it is what it is. We're just going to have to get on with it. It's now going to be playing against us. But I think foremost is we tried everything we could do to obviously trade him. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But then maybe it comes down to, does he fit into our scheme? Have they looked at the actual roster and gone, okay, is he 28? I think now is he
29? I believe. Yeah. I'll look it up right now.
Is that considered old in terms of a cornerback or a safety kind of?
28. You're right. It is 28.
Is that old? Am I right in saying? Do you guys feel that's an older age?
Traditionally, yeah. For corners, traditionally, yeah. When you're close to that 30. So when you're 28, 29, 30, you're considered old. You're considered you can't keep up with these young boys.
Yeah. By the time when the season starts, he'll be 29. The thing that helps him though is that the D line for the Eagles gets a consistent pass rush every year, so that's going to help the secondary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So therefore, he's going to gather that he's going to get that energy back. He's going to have to come in. Maybe run a few more plays or anything like that. Whereas with the Giants, I'm not sure, but then. maybe it doesn't fit into our scheme, so we've got to go that. Okay, do we look at the next draft for next year and say, okay, we're going to focus on that being our priority, as well as maybe a quarterback, but we'll get into that obviously later on. But yeah, I think it is what it is. Obviously, it's sad to see him go. You know, a lot of people are saying when I read on Twitter that like, this guy is now the enemy, you know, dead to me and all that kind of stuff. I don't see it like that. I see that he's put every single effort into the Giants. He played a great season last year. I just feel that it is what it is, and you know, and if they're going to offer him that kind of money, you're not going to go. You are going to go, but like I feel for me is that what we have over in the UK is where you know you get that inbuilt into your contract. You can't be sold to a rival team. Although with free agency, it doesn't matter because that's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. It's not going to happen. However, I would have, you know, maybe they need to adjust those kind of things, but it is what it is, and I wish him all the best.
Right. Manny, a lot of people are blaming Joe Schoen for this, but Joe Schoen had trade partners for him. Just Bradbury didn't agree with the team that whoever wanted to pick them up on the contract, because no team was going to bring him in on a one-year contract. They wanted an extension, or they wanted to rework his contract. He didn't want, so Joe Schoen was stuck. How is that Joe Schoen's fault, man?
It's not, and the people that want to say that just want to. It seems they probably just wanted Gettleman to stay here because they just wanted GM to blame. Honestly, bro, you and I went back and forth on this, and we were both kind of like we agreed eventually. Like, yeah, we want Bradbury to stay on the team. Mm-hmm. We feel the cap space. I see you're a big Pat McAfee fan. I am too. Mm-hmm. So I adopted this method. I adopted this thinking of the cap spaces of Fugazi, and every single offseason, it just continues to show that it is, right? Mm-hmm. So I thought the Giants could have made this happen and made this work. But when I was listening to Good Morning Football the other day, and they said, listen, as good as the Eagles offseason has been, yeah, they won the offseason, put a banner up, but you know, there's a reason why the Giants let Bradbury go. You could say it's because of the money, it's because of contract, and what you know they said that they don't want to kick the can down the road. But at the end, but also too, like, you know, we've seen the cap can be manipulated however you want, and obviously what Bradbury got, 10 years, $7 million guaranteed. The Giants could have given him an extension to give him. Keep him on the team, and that cap space wouldn't have been as crippling as it is to pay Leonard Williams $20-something million, Kenny Golladay $20-something million. You know, I don't think they were going to do that. So the fact that they didn't do that, it just tells me that maybe it was more in their plans that they wanted to just to move on from the player. Totally cool if that's the case, because you know, that's just what their plan is. So it is what it is. I don't have any ill feelings towards Bradbury. Get the money, get the bag. These owners aren't going to pay you. You got to get yourself paid. So good for him. He's going to go and have a chance to compete for a division title and compete for a playoff spot and possibly move further. So good for them. And all I know is that when we play them, you know, it's going to be bald birds for dinner.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And here's the thing. As I've gotten to understand more what Wink wants to do, Wink is heavily depending on those corners, very true. But Wink is heavily depending on the corners to just stay on the guys until the blitz gets home. They're going to blitz, and they're trying to get to the quarterback maybe within 2.7 the most. So 2.7 seconds or less, they're trying to get home. Anything less, then he's like, okay, I'm highly depending on my quarterback, on my corners out there. So that's where I see it's like, okay, we don't need to have I get it. Bradbury and having what's the Tennessee the Tennessee cornerback, former Tennessee quarterback, who? Adoree', right? Adoree'. It's a good duo, but at the end of the day, I just don't think it's gonna be as crucial as it is to having a front seven and having the blitzers. And mind you, before the draft, I was like, if we could keep Bradbury and we could get Sauce, this is going to be an elite secondary in the backfield. But I could also see how, it's a blitz-happy team that just wants their corners not to give up the easy short passes.
Hold up.
Make him hold on to the ball for a little while and then wait till we get home. So I'm okay with that. In terms of Bradbury to the Eagles, listen, Bradbury cannot guard one-on. The only gentleman who Bradbury, I believe, will be okay with guarding one-on-one, it's going to be Kenny Golladay. he cannot guard. He can't guard Wandell White.
Darius.
Wandell. He can't guard Kadarius. He can't guard Slayton. I'm not even sure he could guard Shep, to be honest. Like the only
Quick receivers trouble, yeah.
those the quick guys, he's not gonna be able to stay with. He's gonna need help over the top. Now, in terms of his concepts, like he understands routes, he'll jump anything that's short. And he's a scary dude. I will be afraid of him when we play him, especially because this offense, and we'll get to that, is trying to run a very fast-paced, dink and dunk type of offense from what we've seen in the reports. But that's neither here or there. Bradbury, to me, I wish him the best again, but as long as he's not, it's not on Giants games, and we're gonna see him twice next year. So we'll see how that goes. OTAs, like I mentioned earlier, OTAs are happening this week's. The one thing that a lot of people were talking about on Twitter were so many red shirts, which means injured players or players that are, right now that we're being cautionary with, unless it's a quarterback. Manny, I'm going to start with you first. Is this something to be scared of? Yes or no, the red jerseys?
It's May. So they're not playing any games or nothing like that is going on. I'm not worried much about it. I don't think it's so much the injuries. I just think it's just guys I think it's just the team being very cautious and being very smart, realizing you don't have to go all in this part of the offseason. It's about getting the system down. It's about being out there, getting reps, mental reps, being in the playbook, being in the meetings. I think that's the most important thing, this part. As we get closer, if they're still in red jerseys, if there's still limitations, yeah, you're worried. But I just tend to believe this year it's going to be more about getting the system down and keeping them conditioned, but not trying to overly work them when they don't need to be overly worked. Because I really tend to believe that's what happened last year.
I agree.
The turf wasn't great. The turf isn't great in MetLife, but also, too, it doesn't help when you have a guy a coach who's overly, conditioning their guys. And there's a certain point where that can happen. I think at this point, it's not worrisome because it's very early in the offseason. As they continue to get closer to the season, you just want to see them take those jerseys off. But, it's understandable. These guys are coming off of injuries anyway, so you want to ease them in for sure.
Chris, does that scare you or no?
Well, you know what? At first, I was like, why are these guys wearing red jerseys? What? From being a stooge from over across the pond, I was like, aren't the quarterbacks just meant to wear red jerseys? Why are these guys wearing? And then once I kind of delved into it to look at why these, Kadarius Toney was wearing, and then I realised it's down to injuries.
Yeah.
Okay, let's obviously keep the if they're obviously playing a short pass or whatever they're working on in terms of routes and stuff, they might have been like, that would make sense to me because, they're trying to work out stuff. They want to keep these players on the OTAs rather than having them off injured and getting them involved and all that kind of thing. So it doesn't scare me. I just think, as Manny said, they'll phase them out after a while because we're going to need to get into those pads and then they're going to have to start hitting each other and getting that competitiveness going.
And then one thing I just want to touch on as well. I just saw 3 hours ago and then an hour ago, Pat Leonard tweeted out, our favorite reporter, Pat Leonard. He tweeted out, Giants wide receiver Kadarius Toney had a minor arthroscopic knee procedure.
Yeah.
Which is why he was in the red jersey on the side at spring OTAs. But he's expected to be fine and ready for training camp. And, Dan Duggan then retweeted and said, on top of that, Toney has dealt with ankle, hamstring, oblique, quad, thumb, shoulder injuries. So this is a new one. Obviously, that part might be a bit concerning, but all in all, like we just said, it's minor arthroscopic, and he should be ready to go. Right. And you just hope that this team is just very much not going to stunt their growth by limiting their reps, but just going to try to limit the injuries by not having them out there if it's not necessary at this point of the season,
right?
Or the off season. It's May.
Right. So. I am a little concerned with Toney because I think that if he's healthy, he's going to be such an important part of this offense. But orthoscopic, whatever the word is, surgery, that's just cleaning of knees. That's just cleaning your knees up. That's not nothing crazy. It's not something that's going to hold him out of the year. He's not going to miss any games for that. I'm 100% agreeing with you, Manny. If they could keep them to a minimum in terms of just listen, right now what they're doing is that they're installing an offense. They're just trying to learn the system. I don't need you to go 110%. There's no reason for you to run routes at 100. Like if it's a game day route, it doesn't matter right now, guys. You can walk the routes right now. What we want to know is that we want to make sure that we know the system. That way, when it's time to roll, everybody knows what they're doing. From quarterbacks, receivers, offensive line, everybody in general.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you guys. Red shirts right now doesn't affect me. Is it something that you want to see? No. But it is what it is right now, right?
Yeah, I like that they're out there. They
Yeah.
weren't out there last year. I like that they're out there at least, and they're competing and practicing. And if nothing else, I just think that we're going to be very smart this year as far as like from a coaching standpoint of how much we're going to work these guys in practice.
Yeah, and these guys, don't forget as well that these guys need to have a togetherness. Whether I don't know if that was something last season, but they should be sitting down for meals when they go into the cafeteria, going, "Okay, are we going to sit collectively as a group, or are we going to sit apart?" You can't do that. Tom Brady says there needs to be team competitiveness, I think competitiveness, something like that.
Chemistry, right?
Yeah, chemistry, exactly. And you need to be sitting there. You need to be engaging with who's going to be looking after, who's the voice, who's working out. Okay, this guy talks a lot. Who's going to be, who's the guy you're going to walk past in the locker room at the end to go out and walk on that field.
Who would you say are the leaders right now of this team? Like who are going to be the vocal leaders? 'Cause I don't know.
Sterling Shepard to me is the leader of this team. He's the longest tenured Giant.
Give me four though, because you usually have like about four captains. So who are the vocal leaders?
Him. He's one. I would say Feliciano and Glowinski. Both of those guys are leaders on the offensive line for sure.
I like that.
I thought on the defensive side, I feel like Xavier McKinney is really coming into his own as a leader.
Do you think he's a vocal guy though?
Yeah, I remember hearing him last year in mic'd ups. He went to the other team. He went to Devontae Smith. It's like, hey, tell Jalen to throw me another pick.
Okay, I got
he's
you.
Vocal. And he's a vocal and he's a dog. He comes from that Alabama mentality where they're practicing and competing every day.
Right.
So I think he's a dude. I think he's a dog. I think you already know how I feel about Leonard Williams. I think he's going to be a leader. I feel like eventually Kayvon will be there. Evan Neal will be there as well. He
reminds me of straight hand, doesn't he? You can see those straights in him with Kayvon.
Yeah.
Hey, if he gets that mentorship from straight hand, absolutely. Yeah.
Blake Martinez as well.
Blake. But is Blake going to be on the field though in week 1 of the season though? I don't see it.
I mean, the fact that he's out there right now this early, it's something. It's something. It's obviously as we get closer, we'll see. But the fact that he's out there, I think he'll be. I mean, it's tough because they always say you need a year to get over the ACL. So, we'll see. We'll see.
I would honestly wouldn't be surprised if we don't see Blake until at least week 6, week 7 of this year. To be honest,
we'll see.
Well, Saquon as well. Saquon will definitely be obviously captain.
Saquon. How did we not mention Saquon? Yeah, Saquon is definitely a vocal leader.
Afterthought so much. He's such an afterthought on his team, which is crazy to think about.
But which is crazy too. I think he's gonna have his best year this year.
Well, go on.
No. Go ahead, Russ.
So I was going to say, I talked about this a lot. Do you remember when Alvin Kamara had his ACL tear? But he produced. I think his yards were like 485 or 495. Consistently every time. But they had Drew Brees as quarterback, and they were throwing to Michael Thomas. Anyway, back to that point is that he took a season to get really back into his game, and you can see that there was a lot of weight on Saquon's shoulders last season. You could see it in his face. He didn't look comfortable. He was out there because he wanted to contribute to the team.
Right.
But having said that, I think this rehab element that he's been able to have over since the game's finished, he looks huge. You see how jacked up he is. Like I see him squatting. He's constantly. He looks like he's the first guy in there and the last guy out. Like he must be working on everything, and that's what we need. And it worries me, because obviously I don't want to see him go next season. And I know Giants Twitter are coming out going, he's done. Who would you want to keep? Daniel Jones? Do you want to see him go? I think if he keeps that voice up this season, and we'll do a touch point on passing yards later on. But if he can just get those balls through the second, past the secondary into yardage where we're getting in a good across the 50 and all that kind of stuff into the red zone areas, we could have he could be another person to be scared of.
Oh, absolutely, he could be the one to scared of. Here's the thing. I mean, I get that Dable is gonna try to design plays for Saquon. My question is this: when things are breaking down, is Daniel Jones going to get that dump off pass to Saquon and let him create? If Saquon doesn't have at least 60 catches by the end of the season, something went wrong in this offense. I don't know whether it's the scheme or actual whoever was playing quarterback.
Yeah, that was gonna say. We know if something's wrong this year,
Right.
Yeah, it's on DJ.
So
and
and then here's the thing too. It's just like it's just like Daniel Jones' best chance to have the best year of his career. This is also gonna be Saquon's best chance for him to have the best career that he's had so far as a Giant. With the maybe not that first year he had, Eli Manning was just throwing everything at him because Eli was on his way out. And he was just getting rid of the ball. And hey, Saquon, do what you can. It might not be that level of good, but I think it's gonna be good because now we're bringing a 2022 offense to the field. What I wanted you guys. So one of the reporters, I think it's Dan Dugan, said the Giants were running a lot of empty sets, pre-snap motions, and Saquon was being used in the pass game a lot. So, and this is just the OTA, the installments of the offense. This is what we've been crying for. We've been yelling at the screen. Have motions before the play starts. Show us something, not just line up and play. Again, go back with the guy from ESPN. I forgot with the quarterback, former quarterback. Dan Orlovsky said, he was like, this was legit the worst offense in the NFL. Not at one play does the offensive coordinator put these guys in an offensive competitive advantage. Anybody who knew football could clearly see we did not have a competitive advantage pre-snap at all. So it's gonna be interesting to see. As much as I don't like Daniel Jones, I truly believe it's gonna be one of his best seasons, if not his best season.
Absolutely.
And so it's Jones. So it's Saquon.
Right. So Chris, the next thing we're going to go into is just talking about DJ. What's your opinion on DJ?
Right. I mean, Jones's numbers, this preseason is 2,428 yards. He had 10 touchdowns. That was the 28th in the league. 7 interceptions, tied 3rd in the league. And then I think his QBR percentage, is that right? I think it was 4.15, which was like 22nd overall. Could have been, I think that's right.
Yeah.
So, better than the previous seasons, but it's like, okay, what I want to see from Daniel Jones is he needs to be comfortable in the pocket because he panics when that pocket breaks.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, where do I go? What do I do?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously I've made shoulder blocking for him and all that kind of stuff. I think he's blind side.
Right.
If our pocket can improve, which I'm sure it will on the O-line,
mm-hmm.
Has he got that time? He's got an arm in him, there's no doubt about it, and he can run if he needs to. I mean, apart from obviously the Philly game, which we don't want to talk about, where my WhatsApp exploded with memes. But I think overall, back to your question, Manny, is that if he can deliver and he can be consistent and he can be competitive and he can get that mindset where he doesn't fumble, I do not want to see him fumble. I'm not bothered about interceptions because he can figure those things out when he's in trouble. Like, he makes those mistakes now, because if he doesn't make those mistakes now, then he's not going to learn from making them. From when we're in the regular season, you don't want to be doing that. So I'd rather make mistakes now, be consistent, and not fumble the ball. That's what I don't want to see. But I think that if he delivers well this season, he will be our quarterback of the future. But it's now or never.
Yeah,
I'm curious.
I think the Giants have done
Manny, I want to just ask you. I'm curious as to
Yeah.
what do you think is the winning formula? Because so Chris just mentioned he doesn't want to see him fumbling as much. He's okay. He doesn't want to see him fumbling. He's okay with some interceptions as you know, taking risk. What do you think is your winning formula? And talk about that in terms of interceptions or fumbles. You know, what would you be more okay with or whatever? And then we'll talk about numbers real quick. That'll be actually pretty fun.
Yeah. So I think Daniel Jones. I think the turnover talk about Daniel Jones. I'm not saying from you, Chris, but just in general, it's kind of a lazy take. Like when people keep mentioning that he's had X amount of turnovers since he's entered the league. In 2019 he had 12 interceptions. I'm only going off the interceptions because I know the fumbles. I'm gonna need to pull that number up still. But you see the interceptions, that's a lot. 12 in your rookie season, okay. But then he had 10 in 2020, and he had 7 in 2021.
In terms of interceptions,
It's coming down, isn't it?
Yeah.
so it's
They are going down.
fumbles. So it's fumbles. 19, 10, 7 in fumbles.
Okay, right, exactly. And I think a part of it last year, like
He was hurt though.
I think that he got hurt towards the end.
Right, so he
we
didn't
saw
play
that
much.
offensive line was not good. The coaching was not good. The guys didn't get a chance to really have a full offseason like this year when OTAs being so inclusive and guys in and out of the lineup. Even though they're in red jerseys, they're still out there. I think if they needed to, they'd be practicing. I'm not worried about the injuries this year as much because I feel like, you know, especially with Kenny Galladay, he was injured the year before. And he was injured this year,
Right.
but then he was still able to play games. I feel like guys after after they get off of those injuries, like a season or two later, they're more healthier, obviously. So I think that's going to help them.
They're gonna be less afraid of getting hurt.
Yeah, I think Daniel Jones' turnovers need to continue to get better. But as far as like what he's going to, he needs a throw in my we're gonna go with numbers, but he needs to produce. There's no excuses this year. Last year we said they did everything they did this year, but you know I think a lot of us I had more faith in the offensive line and I was wrong. This year I have more faith in the offensive line and I feel like I'll be right because there's no second year guys or guys that are rookies a year ago that are coming in. There's no Nate Solder. There's no questionable other guys at Will Hernandez or whatever. Like you have a Glowinski, starter, stable, not the best guy, but stable, solid starter. Feliciano, center, solid, stable. A guy with those two guys' mentality is something that this offensive line has been missing too. You have Andrew Thomas, who last year balled out and was arguably a top 10 offensive tackle, should be coming in this year as one of the offensive tackles in the league.
Right.
And then you got Evan Neal, a guy who was looked at a year ago and now this year leading up to the draft was still looked at as the top offensive lineman in the draft. A guy me and Tony didn't even talk about a lot because we didn't think he was going to be there at 7. The fact that I still get so excited the fact that the Giants were able to pull that off in the first round. Kudos.
Yeah.
So I think that, and then obviously they didn't trade everybody. They didn't trade Saquon like they were supposed to. They didn't trade Kenny Galladay like people thought.
It's still a team that has a lot of firepower.
Sterling Shepard could have been cut. They kept him and worked with him to be on the team. Regardless of the injuries, he's still a guy when he's healthy, he produces for Daniel Jones on the field.
Can be a threat in the slot.
Darius Slayton is still on his team. There's rumors about it, but he's still here.
Right.
He's still here. Wan'Dale Robinson is a guy who they brought. Wan'Dale Robinson is a guy who they brought in as well. They have running backs behind Saquon that aren't like, who the hell are these guys or guys that are getting overpaid. They brought good, they got good interior guys in there outside of the guys we just mentioned. They brought in good competition. They drafted some guys. They brought some guys in. They got a fullback who I really like, Jeremiah Hall. They drafted a tight end who has a really excellent upside.
Ricky Seals-Jones. Yeah.
They pretty much have 3 proven OCs on this staff. Mike Groh, the wide receivers coach. Mike Kafka, maybe not as proven, but a guy who
comes from a good pedigree, comes from a great Patriots and Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah.
And we already know who Brian Daboll is.
Right.
There's no excuses this year. Not one for Daniel Jones.
You left that one elite coach too, who I don't even care about offensive lineman coach, but Bobby Johnson this year has gotten my attention. This man is just like how he talks about his offensive line is how I want the Giants' attitude to be for the entire team. Like,
right?
Right?
It's done. I love Daniel Jones. I really do. And I hope
Yeah.
he balls. Like, my best case scenario would be Daniel Jones takes that elite step and everyone finally gives him his flowers and everyone
Definitely.
shuts the hell up about him.
Here's
Is
the
that
thing
is that
too.
going to happen? Probably not.
We'll see.
I think he can, but I wouldn't bet it. There's no excuses. He needs the ball.
Listen, here's my thing. You take Daniel Jones and you drop Aaron Rodgers in this team, and he's throwing 50 touchdowns this year with this staff, with this crew.
That's a good
This
point. That's a
is
very good point.
this
That's a good
is
point.
a lot of firepower in the skill positions. You have potentially it could be a top 5 running back in terms of his skill sets. He could pass, he could catch, he could run. You have Kadarius Toney, who from the little bit that we saw, he looked faster than everybody on the field. We brought in a copy of him in Wendell. We have a guy that if you have 50-50 balls with him and Kenny Galladay, he most likely will make that 60-40 on his favor. So it's a lot of firepower that we got here. Danny Jones has to put up points, has to put up touchdowns. I'm gonna say this.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson. I'm not comparing Danny Jones to Lamar Jackson. But Lamar Jackson in terms of fumbles. You can't, exactly, you can't. In terms of fumbles, Lamar Jackson in his career has averaged 12, 9, 10, and 6 because last year he didn't play a full 17 games. He only played 12. So let's say, for example, the 2 previous years, 9 and 10. So he's around that 10 range in fumbles. In terms of interceptions, we have him at, give me just 1 second. He's had 13 last year, but that wasn't a full season, so he was going to have a ridiculous amount of interceptions. And he had 9 the year before in 2020. So we're talking about with Lamar, he's almost averaging about 17 total turnovers in general. What I want to see out of Daniel Jones is I want to see at least minimum of 27 to 30 touchdowns. And I want to see at least in the range of total turnovers, 15 to 17. So I want it to be a 2-to-1 total turnovers to total touchdowns, because I don't even know how many touchdowns he's going to give me on his feet. He probably could give me 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns on his feet. So I want to see a total of almost a 2-to-1 total touchdown to total interception ratio for next year.
Man, look at these fumbles. In 2019, he had 18 fumbles, lost 11.
Mm-hmm.
In 2020, he had 11 fumbles, 6 lost. And in 2021, 7 fumbles, 3 lost. I think he has improved in that game. And people that don't admit it enough or don't talk about it enough, like they just don't know the number and they're not seeing it. Another thing that went up as well, he got sacked like 34, 35 times his rookie season. You can pull that number up. And then he got sacked in 2019, he got sacked 38 times. And then in 2020, he got sacked 45 times. Last year, less games, he got sacked 20 times.
That's an improvement, isn't it?
And we'll say this. He it's the thing about that I forgot which one of you said about the fact that I think it was Chris that said he doesn't stay in the pocket enough. He looks like he's rushing it out there. I agree, but it's because of and Chris mentioned this too, because he had the offensive lineman that he had.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for him now to see ghosts. Yeah. You know, like Sam Darnold said, there's no excuse for him to see ghosts. You have to trust your offensive line this year.
Look how good he played when Andrew Thomas took that step and was and the Saints game. I'll even say the other 3 games before that. The Broncos game, yeah, that was tough. The Washington game, he should have won that game. They should have won it. And then the Falcons game, they should have won that game as well too. And I don't think that's all on Daniel Jones as well. He needs to produce. He needs to have that alpha. And obviously that's what they say. They want this man to have more of a say. So they want this man to have more of a, hey, just let it loose. Don't worry about any of this. Just let it loose. And if you're comfortable and you have that faith in what you're doing, ball. So, and I heard another coach saying that this guy didn't have any, like he had an archaic OC, he had a bad O-line, guys in and out of the lineup, and a coaching staff that didn't and that didn't do anything to perk these guys up offensively and to perk these guys up when it comes to preparing for the game. So I think this year all that should change. There's no excuse. Either he balls or he's on his way to Durham on a first-class ticket and he's gone.
Yeah, for sure. Guys, the offense has a chance to be super dynamic next year, but I am still putting my chips on this defense. I think we have what could be on paper one of the, I'm going to say, top 5 defensive lines coming into next year, especially if Dexter Lawrence is at nose tackle. I could see a lot where the Giants are going to go on 4-man front instead of, maybe not week 1 because they have to load up the box for Derrick Henry, but I could see it where it's going to be Kayvon, Azeez, Leonard, and then you're going to have Dexter Lawrence. So it's going to be a 4-man front. It's not going to be a 3-4 as much as it's going to be a 4, whatever they want to do. But they want to have 4 defensive linemen because it's really rare that you're going to see 3 interior linemen and the 2 outside linebackers and Azeez and Kayvon. How do you guys feel just on an outlook on this defense? What concerns you? Where you think is the potential can this defense be over average? Can they be better than top 15 this year? And realistically, what do you think they're going to be at? Whichever one of you guys want to take that first.
Chris?
Yeah, I'll go first. Yeah, I played defense as a soccer player, so I know how much of an involvement and how much action you've got to put into doing your job every single day. I think looking at the fact that we got Kayvon that's come in, I think Ojulari's put on a couple of more
10 pounds, monster, 10 pounds. Looks monster.
So obviously who's our defensive guy? It's
Leonard and Dexter.
Yeah. So obviously we got Tate Crowder
and Crowder.
You've got McKinney as well, Julian Love, Dory Jackson. I think for me, this is probably one of the best Giants defense in a long time. And if they're in the gym and was it Wink Martindale?
Yep.
If he gets them working out and putting those pounds on and getting that scheme, getting that repetition, getting those reps out, I think we could be. Everyone says that the Giants are built on defenses, not on offense. I think we could have one of those. To me, what it feels like and what I'm hearing is that we could have that defense that we had in 2011 sort of era, where they're going out, they're fighting, they're pushing, they're fighting for every single ball. They're going out with that passion. It's consistent. They're united as a team, which is massively important for when they go out there on Sundays. And I think by far it's probably one of the strongest we've had in a long time.
Manny, go ahead.
Man, I mean, I am worried about the secondary. I am a little bit, especially the cornerback position. That number 2 cornerback. Right now, they say it's Aaron Robinson. They brought in other guys from free agency that has played with Wink before, like that dude Marcus Candy, I think, and then another guy who played for Wink as well. I think what's really going to help this defense is that D line that we just talked about. Having Blake Martinez back. Running, I don't think he's going to take up until 7 to 6 weeks to get into the season. I think he'll be there sooner than that. But even still, they have 2 athletic guys that they drafted. Darren Babers and Micah McFadden, 2 guys that are athletic that in college defended the run very well. And Micah McFadden was a guy who got sacks, who produced very well. Sacking as a middle linebacker, and me and Tony, when we say this, Darren Bevers, we like this. He was a guy when we watched Sauce, we always were like, "Who's Zero? Dude's balling as well." A guy who's versatile.
I'm gonna call him Zero even at this year. I'm gonna call him Zero.
He's like maybe he's not sideline to sideline the same way like a Devin White is,
right?
But he is. But he has suddenness to him, and he has those traits that with pro coaching he'll improve. I think another thing obviously is what we talked about, Kayvon Thibodeau coming in, that's going to give Leonard Williams that secondary pass rush, that's going to give Azeez Ojulari that secondary pass rush where you can't double block either of these guys because you're going to give the other guy free range. And I'm excited to see what this defense does. I am worried. I think the ceiling for them would be like 12.
Okay.
That's the highest they could be.
Okay.
That's good.
But
That's
I
great.
mean, I can also see them not being very good this year either, because last year what really harmed this defense more than anything is the offense didn't produce and kept them on the field way too long. So that's going to be something else that helps as well too. Having a good balance, having a good yin yang, you know.
So just to give you a heads up, the number 15th team in terms of total of points allowed per game was Miami at 21.9. The number 8 best team is Dallas at 21.2. Realistically speaking, what you just want to do is that you want to hold opponents to about 21 points per game, and you want to score about 24 or more per game. This team, this is what kind of pissed me off about last year. Who was our defensive coordinator last year? What was the name again? I forgot about him.
Patrick Graham.
Graham. Graham had a great, amazing game plan against Patrick Mahomes. Pretty much kept everything in front. Said, hey, Mahomes, you're not going to be allowed to throw anything deep. Beat us in front of us. That's a game that if we had any type of offense, of a real offense, and it wasn't a fraud named Jason Garrett, we probably would have won that game. But then you absolutely. Absolutely. Then you go against the Tampa Bay Bucks, and you have the exact same game plan that you had against Mahomes, and you told Brady, beat us in front of us. You can't throw nothing deep. Brady said, okay, and he just went in and put up 40 points. So my thing is, you gotta adjust week by week, and I think that we're gonna get that from Wink. And even if Wink doesn't adjust from week to week, he's at least gonna say, hey, we're not just gonna wait until you guys do whatever you want to us, and we're gonna just keep playing this cover 2 shell. Wink's is the opposite. Wink is, hey, listen, we have our system. It's bliss the shit out of you. If you can beat us, if you can beat this, then kudos to you. We'll make some adjustments after that.
Yeah, exactly. You got to adjust to us, is his mindset as a D coordinator.
So I see the Giants sending 5 guys. Don't be surprised if that my man Zero, Darren Beavers, you're going to see all these guys lined up on the field. You're not going to know who's coming. He's going to be rushing in. Kayvon is going to be stunning with him to the outside. Like, I can see the craziness. I'm calling it right now. I said this on Twitter. Almost on every single snap in the Giants, you're gonna see 5 men rushing the passer. Either if it's a run or a pass, doesn't matter. They're gonna be sending 5 guys. I'll be surprised if that's not almost on every damn down. Yeah. I think this team. Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I think as well. Like, you know, this is what's gonna change games in when we're playing the offense. Like, if we can stop them, this is gonna be, come down to us winning games or losing games. That I reckon our defense will be stronger to stop that offense getting down the field and maybe scoring a touchdown like we were seeing last season, to more stopping them and like obviously our offense coming back on and finishing off that game that we were kind of like at the brink last season and we were just like, what is going on? I think this could be a stopping point for us.
Nah, man, I agree.
The Washington game, like the Washington game where Bradbury got the interception right before the 2-minute warning, and instead they went run, pass, and it was like a short. It was like they were coaching scared as opposed to just coach to win and coach to put the nail in the coffin. So let's hope there's nails in the coffins this year.
The Giants' defense last year was 23rd in the league with 24.5 points given up, which is so essentially. From number 12, like you wanted Manny from Seattle, we were exactly 3 points away from being the 12th best defense in the field. But this is also coming from an offense who scored, I think, 16 points, averaged 16 points a game. This defense, this defense had to be tired of being on the field so much. By the second half, they were Swiss cheese, and they still only managed to give up 24 points a game. Like, I think we have talent on this defense. It's just, unfortunately, both of the schemes on the offensive side and the defensive side was just non-existent. that's why I'll say this, guys. I'm really optimistic about this team. Like, we have a terrible schedule coming up next year. It favors the Giants. We have elite coaching staffs, both on offense and on defense.
On paper, yeah.
I just can't until preseason comes and I start seeing those preseason games. Nobody can tell me otherwise, man. But the Giants are. I got them at 10 wins, man. Like, it's crazy to me. Like, what am I missing? Besides, yes, I'm scared. I'm not even scared of our corners again because I think we're gonna blitz so much that what I'm scared of is our strong safety, whoever the hell that's gonna be. I think it's gonna be the rookie that we got, Benton. Is it Benton? What is it? Belton from Iowa. I think he's gonna. I think he's gonna win the strong safety spot. But even if he does, I'm just scared of that one middle linebacker that's gonna be covering because I think one of the middle linebackers is gonna be sent. Again, it's gonna be 5 people every time. Who's gonna be the middle linebacker and the safety covering the middle of the field? That's my only question. Everything else, I think this defense could be elite.
And when you talk about the middle linebacker, I think Blake Martinez will be there because I'm now remembering it. He was there towards the end of the season last year, even after the injury. You know, he was there with them in Arizona. He didn't need to be. He was there with them He was there with them. You know, at least nothing else on the sideline.
You think he's gonna be recovered by week 1?
I wouldn't be surprised if they don't bring him back by week 1. Okay. But you remember he did get injured pretty early in the season.
He did. He was like week 3.
He had a good amount. I expect if you give me I think he'll be starting before Sterling Shepard starts.
Oh, without a doubt. Yes.
So I think if you had to put me on, I think so. I think pencil him in for week 1. I think he plays.
And before we wrap up, man, I also wanted to touch base with you guys and I'm going to go back to Bobby Johnson, the offensive line coach for this offensive line. So far, it looks like we're going to have Andrew Thomas, Shane Lemieux, Dirtbag Feliciano, John Feliciano, Mark Lewinsky, and Evan Neal as the offensive line. It's going to be day and night from at least perspective-wise or hopefully wise from last year. But most importantly, it's just we have too many guys that are just like, yes, sir, yes, ma'am type of guys last year. It was like, I think...
Where's your backbone?
Yeah. I think that the chemistry is there. I think this locker room is very tight, but I don't think they have the balls to kind of like get on people's faces. And I think we're going to see that this is the right coaching staff. I think Dable, how you're just seeing him mic'd up in practices right now. He's asking for that tempo, for that energy.
Yeah.
We know Wink. We know Wink is a dog. He comes from that Rex Ryan, that 46. Those guys are dogs. They want to see people get down. The coach, Bobby Johnson, dog. Like, it's just the mentality now.
Yeah, Dre Peterson, who should be a defensive coordinator, at least in this league, is the D-line coach. Brian Cox is another guy who is going to get in, who's going to get in their players' face, not in a disrespectful way, but in a way like, yo, you're here, produce. You're not being brought here just to fill the jersey. You're being brought here to produce. Like, these guys, like, these coaching staff is going to be more, expecting from these players as opposed to just disciplining them for whatever the hell or just trying to like work them,
I think that's going to be a big factor this year, which is going to be the attitude, the mentality of this team. Yeah. I think that's going to be the X factor because I felt like when it came to tough situations, and not even talking about last year, I'm talking about for the couple of years now for the Giants, when it comes to like crunch time, it's like you see the team and they're like deflated. They're a no-show. I think this is going to be the reason why it's going to be, hey, listen, in those close games, we might persevere this year. Just, guys, what do you guys think about just the vibe that you're getting off of this team right now? And this is, again, I'm sorry if I'm coming off as way too optimistic, but I just, that's how I feel right now, man.
We need
Yeah, I like the vibe. I'll keep it short. I like the vibe. I like the players they brought in. I like the fact that with lunch money cap, he was able to still make it work and bring in, stout offensive linemen, comparable stout defensive linemen, guys who are going to be able to compete in the secondary, guys who are going to be able to compete in the interior side, running back court, tight, two, maybe not the best blockers as tight ends, but two guys, can come in compete at the tight end spot. You know, you don't have to rely on a rookie because you'll have two guys that maybe can produce. I think this team, talent-wise, they did the best they could. Obviously, the draft was really what made me hyped.
Yeah.
This team. I think it's good. I mean, Feliciano said in that interview with Ariel Helwani, this team reminds him a lot of the Bills when he got signed by them, you know, in Josh Allen's sophomore season. And that season wasn't great. They didn't have an amazing season, but they were productive, they were improved, and they made it to the playoffs. And that experience. So I think this team, I have them winning 9 games. I can see it being 8-7 wins this year. But we're playing with house money, Chris, because I've already adopted the mindset. If we ball and have a great season, that means we're doing great. We're on the up. If we don't, that means we're going to get our quarterback next year, and this team will just be that much better with a larger cap space and guys, second coaches now, second years for guys in the system. They'll be just that much better to help this, you know, rookie quarterback come in if that is the case. So either way, you know, I'm excited.
Nah, absolutely. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with Manny as well. Like it's that competitiveness in the locker room, should I say?
Mm-hmm.
You know, have they got that dog mentality to go out on the pitch every Sunday to fight? You know, putting on that Giants jersey every Sunday, you've got to have. You know, you're wearing the New York Giants jersey. You know, this is a franchise that's, you know, everyone looks up to. And both New York teams at the moment aren't doing great. So,
right.
You know, they need to have that kind of, as I said before, sitting together. Are they going out in the evenings? Are they talking to each other? Are they on Zoom calls? Who's the first in? Who's the first to leave? You know, are you doing extra tape work? Are you doing, you know, are you doing extra reps at night? You know, as soon as they finish, are you going to go in and do some more? You know, we need to have that mentality where we're ready to punch the ball down the throats of the opposition on Sunday so that we can go, okay, because most people when they come and play the Giants, it's like, oh, this is a win.
It's a win. Right.
We don't want you come into MetLife, or we come to you, which we're very good on the road. We've been very good on the road before, you know, past Super Bowls, they were a road team. We need to be that team where it's like, we got the Giants tomorrow, man. We need to be, you know, we need to be on the game.
And at least if we lose games next year and we're having a terrible season, at least be the team that if you come in, you're gonna get bruised up. You're gonna come in and you're gonna be hit in the mouth, at least.
Yeah, exactly. And I was gonna say that as well. Like, you know, I would rather lose games if we're balling out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're like, okay, we were satisfied with that. You know, that was a tough. It was. You know, they nicked it at the end. It could be on a field goal or whatever that, which is a sucker punch anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, okay, we went out.
But we fought, man.
It's about
we don't want to see freaking third down and take a knee and shit, or do quarterback sneak on third down and then punt the ball. Like, what are you doing?
I don't want my coach fighting reporters in press conferences. I want us fighting dudes on the field.
Yeah, for real, man.
Which is why, bro. And then we could talk about this and just leave it at this. Feliciano coming on to this team. Obviously, that interview with Ariel Helwani has a lot of people kind of like, what the hell, this and that. I'll say this: I don't think this coaching staff was as dumb enough to not even have that conversation with Feliciano, not even have that aired out first. I don't think they're dumb enough to just sign this dude if they think that this is what this guy thinks of him.
No.
You know, when he said pretty much, you know, like, hey, I was sad for the players that lost the game, but also too, I was like, hey, that's what you guys get for not playing me. Yeah. I think people forget Feliciano was a starter up until he got COVID last year, and then that put him in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And obviously, whatever your opinion is on COVID, it hits everybody differently.
Right.
And you know, it hit him enough to put him in the hospital, and that's the only reason why he lost his starting job. So I think that probably doesn't make him feel good. Like, man, I didn't even lose for my play on the field, even though his play on the field wasn't like, you know, justifiable enough to keep him in the lineup. But even after the fact, like, he was still there. He still said after the fact that I don't want to play these guys. I wouldn't want, like, if our perfect scenario, the Giants make it to the Super Bowl this year, I don't want to play the Bills because I don't want to have to compete against people that I would hate to see lose at that point. You know, he talks very like. For people that don't know, go listen to the old interview.
Absolutely.
Don't listen to Talking Giants.
Yeah.
Don't listen to Zach Rosenblatt's articles. They're all very poignant and very valid. But just go in there and watch the whole interview. Have your opinion about it. Because my opinion I took from it was that He wasn't happy, but he understood it. It's a business. He loves those guys. He loves Bills Mafia. He loves the Bills, but it was time for him to really show that he can have this career as a center. And here he is. So I love Feliciano. That's our guy.
I'm predicting him a C. I'm predicting that C on his chest. I'm predicting it.
That's
Yeah.
our guy.
Mhm.
That's our dog.
Mhm.
And I'm excited as hell to see, because I feel like a lot of people don't think much of him, and I can't wait for him to just improve and show. Because I'll say this is the best tackles he's played with on the O-line. Andrew Thomas is better than Deion Dawkins, in my opinion, and Evan Neal is going to be better than the guy from Northern Iowa, Spencer Brown.
And,
So
and a lot of it,
Lewinsky.
and
So
a lot
I
of
think
it's gonna fall under him too, man. Like Feliciano wanted to be center. He wants to be center. He wants to be the one in charge of that. So you know what's gonna be responsible for him? Pass protection. So if we don't get good runs, if we don't get, if we give up sacks, it's on him as much as it's gonna be on anybody else, because he's the one that's gonna be calling the protections for Daniel Jones next year. Daniel Jones most likely is not gonna be calling his own protections. So it's on him, man, and I think that he wants it. I think he wants that responsibility. That's why I feel like, man, he's gonna be the captain, man. He's gonna be the captain.
In that interview too, he said nobody's gonna touch Daniel. I love that. I love that where he has that
That's
mindset.
what he wants.
Yes. Yeah, and it's not, and everyone was like, and everyone was like, that was Will Hernandez. I'm like, well, Will Hernandez isn't a proven dude who got drafted. Like, this dude has been proven. He's played in Oakland where he helped that team make it to a playoff run. He played in the Buffalo Bills when that turnaround started happening. Like, I think this dude's way more proven than Will Hernandez, and I think this dude's gonna come in and produce and be that stability. No more Billy Price, no more John Jalapeno, no more fucking John Greco. We got some balls now. Let's go.
Do you think he's like O'Hara? You know when like don't touch Eli. You go near Eli. I'm literally.
No, I think oh man, attitude is so important. And I know I feel like you two guys also feel this with me. It's so important to have the dog mentality. You can't be playing. You can't be nice playing football. You gotta be. Yeah, it's football. It's a dangerous sport. You have to be dangerous playing the sport. And I think Feliciano is gonna bring that vibe, not just to the offensive line, not just to the offense. Don't be surprised if you see the fights break out between the Giants, between themselves in the in the training camp, and let it happen. That's gonna bring the team closer. That will bring him closer. Absolutely.
Yeah, that happened with him last year in the Buffalo Bills training camp. But he even said, like, hey, you know what, that happens. Seconds afterwards, we were hugging up, and we realized iron sharpens iron, and we got to make each other.
If you do that, if you could do, I could take that from a Manchester United sort of perspective, from a soccer perspective. Like, you know, they would tackle each other on the training ground, like Roy Keane, if you know who he is, if you know, like David Beckham and all that kind of stuff. They were carrying out, they were fully getting involved. That's what I expect to see from this Giants team. You know, pulling each other, like, you know, but at the end of the day, we've got each other's backs on a Sunday. When we're playing the likes of Philadelphia, when we're playing the likes of, you know, we've got Tennessee the first game. That's going to be a tough match.
That's going to be a smash mouth. Are you going to be scared, or are you going to get them to be scared? That's the big deal. So you got to make sure you get that out of your system in training camp.
Yeah. Like, we may argue with each other behind these walls, but no one's good. But we're not going to go out of here, and you're not going to touch my teammate.
It's gonna be fun, man.
Punk my guy out here.
All right, man. Let's wrap this up. Chris, where can people find you again? Once again on Twitter, and anything that you got going on, man. Let us know. Now's your time to say it, brother.
Yes, you can find me Chris Turner, Giants fan, on Twitter. Obviously, you know, I'll be getting involved as much as I can with the Giants Twitter community. I'm hopefully going to the Green Bay game in.
Who's on the ground?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll be feeding in information from there, and obviously, you know, if anyone's coming over, you know, DM me. I'll tell you where to go for, like, good pubs to go to. If you can't get tickets for the game, where to go. Obviously, it's a different mentality over here in terms of NFL. It's like, you know, I could be sitting next to a Philadelphia Eagle fan. I could be sitting next to a Cowboys fan. I could be sitting, you know, across front of me. It could be a Pats guy. We have a very close-knit unity where we share each other's stories. We like each other. Okay, we might not like each other on Sunday, but that all that talking is done on the field. It's not like soccer over here. if I went to a pub and it was Manchester United playing Liverpool Football Club,
You cannot be in the
not gonna
same
have-
bar.
there's going to be glasses thrown at each other. And it's going to be like pints getting thrown.
Yeah, like
NFL's different over here in the UK.
That's
We're
funny.
very much together.
So,
Yeah, it's
so the
massive.
NFL, the NFL in Europe, in London, I mean, in not in England, it's more like Twitter Spaces right now with teams, because you have you have Eagles fans coming to the Spaces, you have Baltimore, and everybody's kind of gelling right now, and it's not too confrontational. I'm sure that when it gets the games that they're playing against each other, there's gonna be a little friendly smack talk, but it's not gonna be nothing crazy.
Something like fisticuffs or anything like that. You know what I mean?
I will say this: I've been going back and forth with some Buffalo Bills fans over the Feliciano, hype train. Hey, whatever. At the end of the day, and I will cut this and post it. At the end of the day, no matter how good Buffalo Bills are, you will never be New York's team.
Never. No.
By the way, and it's funny because Feliciano said it was cool seeing the Giants 4 Super Bowl wins when you came from a place where they had 4 Super Bowls lost. The best 30 for 30 was the 4 Falls of Buffalo.
Exactly. And they were one of the hardest divisions. So
There we go. Manny,
like
go ahead,
yeah,
Chris.
go on. No, I was just going to say, finish it off as well, like by saying, college football's a massive thing over here now. That's getting bigger and bigger.
Right.
I'm a Sooners fan. I've been following that. Baylor obviously beat the crap out of us, so we couldn't get into the college finals.
He's a Texans fans, Chris, by the way. So you guys are gonna go back and forth during the college season.
So I love all that kind of stuff. I love watching Saturdays. And it's college football's massive, obviously ice hockey sort of thing. So it's
that. So during the season, during the football season, soccer's also going on too, right?
The World Cup.
Yeah.
World Cup will be going on.
Wait, FIFA's happening this year?
Yeah, the World Cup's this year. Yeah.
What? FIFA is this year?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. World Cup's this year. Yeah, it's in Qatar. Yeah, Pat McAfee talks about it all the time. He goes,
Does England have a chance this year?
Well, you're in our group. USA are in our group.
Oh, I mean, we're gonna get killed, but
Not we. They are. I go Costa Rica.
Okay. Well,
And they should make it. If they play a game against New Zealand in June. If they win, they're in.
who's in your pool this year, Chris? So USA, England.
I think Scotland or Wales, maybe. Wales
is a good team with Bale.
So I live in Wales. My partner's Welsh.
Okay.
She's very patriotic Welsh. Obviously, rugby's massive over here. So when England play Wales, it's quite. And again, that's another team spirit where the fighting's done on the pitch. Really, the talking's on the pitch. So we've got those in our groups. So that's gonna be interesting. But Pat McAfee keeps calling it the Soccer Lombardi. We'll literally, it's going to be. I mean, he's beaten us before we've drawn, but our team is totally different. It's full of youngsters.
I feel like this is the best. Yeah, I feel like this is the best chance England has because that dude. I mean, Bale. I mean,
Bale's on Wales. Yeah.
Kane is the dude for me that tips the scales for England. So it'll be. I mean, we're showing the finals in the World Cup when it happened recently. It was Croatia, and you guys were third.
It was the Euro. So like, obviously, we lost to Italy, unfortunately.
I'm 100% involved in FIFA, man. I'm in FIFA, man. I love rooting for. To be honest, the team that I root for in FIFA is Germany, man. I love that team. They're so scary. Like,
because the Dominican Republic don't got a soccer.
Yeah, we don't got a team in the Dominican Republic, but like, and USA usually gets eliminated every so often. Huh?
Root for Costa Rica.
No, listen. I root for both of you guys' team. If I see them playing, I'll root for them, man. Not no doubt about it, bro. Like, but FIFA it's man, it's gonna be a great fall then, man. It's gonna be off the hook.
Hell yeah, man. Tony.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Tony, I appreciate you, man, for always bringing us on and always letting us get this in and this Giants talk. And for everyone watching, for everyone that supports us, we appreciate you guys. For everyone that we get to interact on Twitter with, everyone's spaces, the shakedown, Giants Rush, Talking Giants.
Absolutely.
I'm a fan of everybody. We appreciate all you guys. And, again, stick with us because we're not taking it off on this offseason. We're going in.
Absolutely.
And we're gonna do it like we always do it, breaking it down.
Absolutely. And Chris, we're gonna bring you back too, man. When we get closer to the season or in the season, man.
Definitely.
Let's talk some football with actual games going on, and we could talk about what's going on in the field, man.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys and everything. Thanks for letting me speak. From across the pond. And I'll dive into some talk with you soon. As we get closer to the season.
All right, guys. I'm gonna wrap this up, guys. Yo, thank you so much for everybody who tuned in on the live. And I know I'm not on camera anymore. I'm having technical difficulties, but it's all good, man. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Have a great one. Peace.
Peace.